Hi, you guys. This is Jenny from Hope, Love, and Tat, healing after a breast cancer diagnosis. Before I started with the book, I just wanted to show you guys something fun I got in the mail. I got it a few months ago, so I can't remember if I talked about them, but I finally have no scars, so I could try them out. And these are Tata tattoos. They come in all different colors. This is the color for me, the olive color. Um, and they just go on like kids' tattoos, but they stay on a long time. When you first put them on, the first time I put them on, they looked really silly. Oh, hey, Velma, how are you? They looked holding my nipple. um, they looked kind of silly because they were so shiny. But then now that I'm used to them, I kind of like them. Just, I think the Tata tattoos, there's other brands. You can just order them online. They weren't expensive at all. I think they're $18.99. They had some that look like mandala shaped, which actually might be more fun than that, since they don't actually look real. Um, Maybe the like more fun mandala would work. Um, I have been reading this book for months and months and months. I can't remember when I said um, that I would read it because it just feels like so long ago. It was a hard book to read. It's not an easy read the way Dr. Funk wrote her book. The book was fun to read. Anti-cancer. It's not like, I wouldn't say fun to read, but it was more. It was put together differently, so it was like little chunks of of information. It was just easier to read. This book, Eat to Beat Disease, by Dr. Lee, is in depth, very in depth, lots of amazing, good information, but not an easy read at all. I would, if you're going to read it or buy it, I would definitely go by the lists. I'm going to run down the biggest information in it. I think everyone has seen his YouTube video on angiogenesis. That was how he got started in this. He was really looking for that magic bullet that would make not just heal cancer, but heal many diseases at once. And angiogenesis has about 70 diseases that it is attached to. And so he thought, if I can figure out this one thing, I can cure 70 at once. Kind of jumping ahead, let me start. So he wrote this book he started his angiogenesis stuff about 20 years ago. The last 25 years, he's been doing research on angiogenesis. Now, angiogenesis is the process our bodies use to grow new blood cells. So that's a good thing. So if you hurt yourself and you get a scab, your body sends little proteins there to build new blood vessels and heal that area, right? Unfortunately, if you have a cancer cell in your body that gets together with another cancer cell and starts a tumor, then your body, it needs blood vessels as well, and angiogenesis occurs and gives it a blood supply. So that also happens with other diseases, about 70 of them actually. It happens with heart disease, stroke, diabetes, Alzheimer's, obesity. Wherever there is a wound or a tumor or a growth, your body sends blood cells there to heal it. So I'm not sure how all of these have angiogenesis involved. I'm not sure why stroke would have angiogenesis involved, but of course we're here for the breast cancer stuff. So what he started to do was research that. And if you are interested in that video, you have not seen it, I'm going to post it. It's good stuff. It's quicker than reading the book. But what he also found in his research is that angiogenesis is not the only process of the body that he could use as that magic bullet to cure more than one thing, more than one thing. So he mentions 5 pillars of health. The first one is angiogenesis. Then you've got regeneration, which they're all kind of related, but he pulls them apart. Then you've got the microbiome, which is your gut. Then you've got DNA protection. Remember those telomeres? What movie was that with Oprah Winfrey, where the telomeres were the things that were going away in the little boy's body, and to cure it, he had she had to find her dad or something. So the telomeres, that was a tangent, sorry, random, random thought. And then the fifth thing is immunity, which we all know that they are, in each one of these areas, they're coming up with new cancer treatments. So with angiogenesis, they have new drugs now to stop the angiogenesis. There's some foods that do it too, and some supplements. I don't know if any of you are familiar, I know at least one of you on here, Amanda, is taking AngioStop. AngioStop is a supplement by Dr. Chi that I gave to my dad when he had a large pancreatic tumor, and it shrunk the tumor. I really believe it did. I have no proof of this. But it was sea cucumber. It was made mostly of sea cucumber and magic, I guess. But it stops the angiogenesis, so the tumor can no longer get blood supply. And so there are medical drugs that do that now too. And I don't know the names of them. Did I write them down? No. But I mean, how amazing if we can find a common denominator with multiple diseases and then find one drug to cure all of them. That would really be amazing. A lot of food studies are being done now, and since the China study, which was monumental for all of us, that China study, it's mentioned in every book. It's mentioned in, if you don't know what the China study is, it was done on hundreds of people and food intake, and they realized what foods could help your health, which most studies back then were not done on foods. So let's see. Some interesting facts that were in the beginning of the book is when autopsies were done on women that did not die of breast cancer, 40% of women had microscopic breast tumors. 50% of men between the ages of 40 and 55. If they died for a different reason and they were autopsied, breast cancer was actually found in microscopic form. 40%. So that tells you, I know you hear it, you've heard it before. I've definitely heard it before, where you say, oh, cancer cells are running through your body at all times, and what you eat and how you live and your stress levels determine whether or not that becomes a tumor. And this is proof. 40%, that's a big number of women between the ages of 40 and 55 had microscopic breast tumors. 50% of men between 50 and 60 had microscopic cancer in their prostate. And 100% of people over the age of 70 had microscopic thyroid tumors. I don't know, I know a lot of people have, if you look, you find the tumors there. I don't know when the tumors start, but they decided to pick this age 70. More than 100 foods are now, have been studied and found to starve cancer. So this book has a lot of lists of I'm going to post lists for you guys, and in each area, in each of the 5 pillars. First, I'm going to explain what the 5 pillars are. That's the first half of the book. Then the second half of the book is just the lists of foods that will either help with angiogenesis, help with regeneration, boost your immune, all of those things. The good news is a lot of the foods are all the same thing. So blueberries are in every group. Dark berries are in every single group. So eat your berries. I posted before, beer and wine were in that group, but they don't want you to drink too much of it because there's the alcohol and the sugar in the wine. Okay, so let me start describing the 5 pillars. This is such interesting work, but the book is just not interesting. So if this gets boring, I'll try not to fall asleep, but I will. I'm going to give you guys the info as in the smallest amount of information and still have it be meaningful, hopefully. But if I'm going and I cut out too much and you have questions, I will go through it all and answer whatever you need to know. So the first thing he describes is angiogenesis, and this starts in the womb. It starts every month. Women have angiogenesis when they get their periods, and the blood vessels form in your uterus to get ready for a baby. Excuse me. Whenever you get a cut and redness forms, that's angiogenesis. That is the beginning of angiogenesis. So the trigger is the low oxygen levels caused by the wound and caused by a tumor and the interruption of the blood flow. So your body knows when there's a cut, there's an interruption. Inflammation is important at the beginning of healing. And remember, I like to say we want circulation, not inflammation, but the inflammation is needed at first because that's the trigger. That's what lets your body know that it needs to go heal it, right? There is a balance. The system is constantly looking like when to grow more blood vessels and where, and when to get rid of them. So our bodies know how to get rid of those blood vessels when there's too many. Cancer somehow tricks the body into supplying it with a lot of blood vessels, and cancer tumors send that wound healing message to our bodies that to please come help fix this part, but then it uses the angiogenesis to grow instead of have it not grow. So once a cancer cell has a blood supply, it can grow 16,000 times its size in 2 weeks. And then it starts adding to it a little bit slower once it gets established. So that's kind of scary. And it's an amazing thing that our body can do. But once they figure out how to let our bodies know that cancer tricks it, I think our bodies are just going to take care of the cancer without all these meds, right? So the second pillar of our health is regeneration. Stem cells maintain organs. Stem cells are way confusing to me in the way that he described it, that our bodies have stem cells and they can go to any part of the body and become that cell, whatever is needed, that can go to that part of the body. And so I guess when your body is tricked and thinking cancer is needing to be healed, those cells are needing to be healed, then your stem cells will go to that tumor and become a cancer stem cell. So that's how your body regenerates. I've always heard like your skin regenerates in 2 months and, things like that. Lungs and stomach every 8 days is regenerated. Skin every 2 weeks, skeleton every 10 years, and your small intestine regenerates every 2 to 4 days. So imagine all that healing. And I'm hoping that mine regenerates after all that chemo. My skin still doesn't feel like it's fully regenerated. So stem cells repair, replace, and regenerate. The latest research shows that stem cells are influenced by diet. So that's great news because as we age, we have less and less stem cells. So we want to eat foods that actually help grow the stem cells. They are not like any other cell in the body. They can become any cell in the body. It really is amazing. So he talks about the VEGF, the growth factor, vascular endothelial, vascular endothelial growth factor. So that's the stem cell activator. That's some of you have heard them be called cancer tumor markers. That one's important because that's the one that activates the stem cells. So if that's high, that means that your body is using it to activate the cancer stem cells. This is the growth factor that causes stem cells to mobilize, look for an injury, and start sending the messages to get it healed. Drinking and smoking deplete the stem cells and injure them. This is one of the ways that toxins, chemicals, smoking, doing drugs make people look old or make people, ill, is because it depletes the stem cells and injures them so you can no longer regenerate. So what they've been doing now, which is just amazing, one of my friend's fiancés had it done on his knee, is they are taking stem cells and injecting them into the sites of places that you would normally do surgery. So my friend's fiancé needed knee surgery. He was in a lot of pain. They took stem cells from parts of his body and then injected it into the injured area of his knee. And within 2 weeks, he was pain free. Now they said it takes up to a year for the knee to regenerate fully for all of the things that were, I guess he had cartilage floating around in there and stuff. But the stem cells actually cured his knee without surgery. So they're using it for back surgery now. They're using it for joints. How amazing that sorry, Shelby Ann, I just saw your comment. This information is for all cancers and how your body makes those cancer cells. And Dr. Lee did not specify specifically hormone or HER2 or any of that. What he talks about is what we can do and how the body processes things and what we can do with those processes to help cure us. So, and be as healthy as we can be. So hopefully this information applies to all. That's how I'm taking it, because he does not specify like this is only hormone positive or this is only, and if you look in most of the research, they take a broad, they use all types of breast cancer. So the research, you'll see like, if there's 500, it'll say like 320 had hormone positive. I can't do math, so I don't know why I started down that path. But anyway, it should add up to 500. And then out of the 500, it'll tell you how many people had which. And even in the studies with medications, they do the same thing. So I'm taking this book as, healthy in general, and all cancers can be cured using these processes with food. So, so stem cells are starting, it's a huge field in surgery and can actually replace surgery. There's certain people it hasn't worked for. So, I know one person in particular that had it done on his back and it did not work, but, I hope at some point in our very near future, instead of back surgery or hip replacement, we just get an injection. I mean, that's amazing. I hope we get there. The third pillar of health that he talks about is the microbiome. This is all about your gut, right? Your intestines, your stomach lining, your gut. And what he found is that a healthy microbiome can change everything. Really, it can. Your mood, your health, just everything. Kind of gross, but everybody's microbiome weighs 3 to 4 pounds. So there's actually 3 to 4 pounds of microbiome consisting of thousands of different types of organisms. So that's bacteria, viruses, fungal, little fungus in there, fungi, all kinds of stuff. So what we want to do is eat foods that replenish the biome, make our biome have more good guys than bad guys, right? We want the good bacteria in there. They've actually identified, if you are interested in this and you read the book, you will see they've identified which bacteria in your gut. They took samples of people's guts and they went through cancer treatment, and the people with certain things in their guts did better with the treatments than people without. So to get that good bacteria, that specific bacteria in your gut, which we're going to talk about later, you eat these certain foods. So I thought that was really important for our crowd. If you're going through active treatment right now, go get your cranberry juice without sugar. So, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So the goal is to eat foods that promote healthy bacteria. Unfortunately, the diet that we've all been eating in America, the SAD diet, kills good bacteria. Each generation that we've gone in, our microbiome have gotten worse and worse with our soil not having enough good stuff in it, and eating too many processed foods, processed meat, processed everything. So, and having chemicals all around us at all times, and spray on our yards, and bug spray in our houses, and paint on our walls, and all of that depletes the microbiome. Each each one of the 5 pillars has research going right now trying to find ways to cure disease. So the way that they're using the microbiome to cure disease is actually really disgusting, but really cool, is fecal microbial implantation. So I remember reading a story about a woman who the doctors could not figure out what was wrong with her. They could not get her well. And then they went to a doctor that was doing this type of research, and her husband donated his parts of his microbial stuff. It was implanted into her and she got better. So another field where amazing things, it'll be like magic. Don't take drugs. You just need an injection of someone's healthy microbes, right? Poop. So the next key pillar of health is DNA. So this is your personal genetic blueprint. And we talked about it, Velma and I have talked about this, where when you've had a trauma, it actually gets passed down from generation to generation. So it's the most interesting part of this book for me was the DNA, but it was also the most confusing. So it was discovered in 1869 by Dr. Mosher in Germany. In 1990, the Human Genome Project started. 20 universities all over the world mapped out every gene in the human body. In 2003, our DNA was fully sequenced. So they have a map. They know what our DNA is, looks like. They know what it does. And they also know what damages it. So pretty much modern life damages your DNA. Chemicals inhaled or ingested can damage your DNA. I'm assuming that is also chemo. And so I took it as the foods that can regenerate my DNA is what I'm going to eat while I'm trying to heal from my cure for cancer, which was chemo. Cells contain and repair enzymes, and eating certain foods can help your cells do that. So a lot of antioxidants, I know you guys have heard about that those are the foods that we want to eat to prevent cell damage. Antioxidants don't repair, they only prevent. So there's actually 2 lists of foods in this section of the book later on where they give the lists. There's lists that repair your DNA and there's lists that protect. So they'll tell you, like, eat a bunch of watermelon before you go to the beach. That will protect your skin from the sun damages. If you eat it after, you get no protection. So, and it doesn't help repair. So watermelon is one of those ones that, interestingly enough, protects but does not repair. Epigenetics is a very hot area of research. In fact, my daughter right now is on some drops to help her autoimmune that have to do with repairing her genetic mutations, and that's epigenetic stuff, which is a little bit over my head. But I'm going to talk about it like I know what I'm talking about, and hopefully it helps you guys. Methylation is how your cells detox, and when you have the most popular genetic mutation that you may have heard about is the MTHFR, and a lot of people are finding out they have this genetic mutation. And you can have a single mutation or a double mutation. And if you have the double mutation, what I should have known before my kids were born is that if you have the double mutation of MTHFR, you should not get vaccines. It will make you very sick because you have trouble detoxing. So that's a separate little thing, but methylation is how your cells get rid of all the toxins in your body. If you're one of those people that can't detox, then you'll end up getting sick, gaining weight, having acne. When people have that systemic acne all over their faces and things like that, that means your cells, you have a genetic mutation in your body that is preventing you from detoxing. So you really need to manage yourself in this world of chemicals and toxins, and get all the organic stuff you can and clean out your house and all that stuff, because there will be a buildup, and at some point that could turn into an illness. Diet and exercise are one of the things, and sleeping are one of the things that help us regenerate our DNA, that it's not have to do with food. Um, and sleep deprivation can actually silence the genes that block tumors. So if you are an insomniac, if you have trouble sleeping, and you know that sleeping is so important for repairing your DNA and regenerating your DNA, that he actually talks about it as one of the key things, causes of cancer. I think in everyone's bodies, there's multiple reasons, there's multiple things that go wrong to get to that point where you have cancer. But sleep deprivation, he talked about, this is the first book that has talked about it so strongly, in that he believes it causes cancer. And also makes, when you have good sleep and you have good diet and you exercise, your telomeres are longer, and the telomeres are the ends of your DNA, and that's the part that needs repaired, because they get frayed like the end of a shoelace. When they are frayed like that, your cells don't I don't really understand it. I can understand it when I read it, and then when I talk about it, it's not as strong. But hopefully this is helpful to you. So when your telomeres are healthy and long, and the longer the telomeres are, the healthier you are, and the better your cells can get rid of those toxins. Methylation is not a problem when your telomeres are long. The fifth pillar of your health that he talks about is your immune system. We form microscopic cancers all the time. Like I said in the beginning, 40% of women had breast cancer, microscopic tumors, when they died and an autopsy was done. There's cancer in our bodies that just don't turn into anything when our immune system and all these other systems are working correctly. So the immune system fights them off before it gets tricked. There's a point where cancer can trick your body into thinking it's part of a normal cell. So our immune systems wipe them out before that. Cancer cells can wrap in protein and hide. That's when they hide, is when they've been around long enough in the body, and they haven't gotten, they haven't been killed off. Then they wrap themselves in protein and hide. If you block the proteins, the immune system will kill the cancer. So that's where we're getting Keytruda, and I can't remember the name of the other one that starts with O. That's for lung cancer. But there are all these new medications that are using the immune system to fight off cancer. My dad was given Keytruda, and immediately I could tell that it was doing its job for the immune system, was overreacting. So all of a sudden he was itchy. He was getting, itchy rashes and things like that your immune system would do if it sensed it needed to be there. Vaccines use the immune system to kill viruses, and they're also finding more and more viruses that cause cancer. So the Gardasil is the new vaccination, although I can't give it to my kids because of their autoimmune stuff. And if you decide to give it to your 13, 14-year-old, I would get them tested for genetic mutations first. But it is a vaccine that will protect them from cancer. I guess it protects from anal cancer, cervical cancer. I think there's one more it protects from, because they're finding that the HPV virus will attach to those parts and cause cancer. So there's two types of immunity, the adaptive and the innate. And there's different foods to boost the different immunities. So we'll talk about that. Let's see. So I want to talk about soy again. Being on the Facebook groups, I think you guys have seen, everybody thinks they're not supposed to eat soy. And I posted the article that Dr. Lee, on the Dr. Lee stuff right before I did this, and soy was the first one that he said fights cancer. Soy fights cancer in every single one of these categories. The immune system is one. It helps the immune system. And the way it does that is it has genistein in it, Genistein. That is what is in soy that actually fights cancer. It can stop the growth of 4 different kinds of cancer. So far, research has every research study that they've done with it, and I guess it's only been 4 cancers, it has stopped all 4 of them. So eating soy every day is important. If you are in the beginning of cancer treatment, or if you just want to make sure you don't ever get it. Every single type of solid tumor, ranging from breast to prostate to lung, must have angiogenesis to grow, and the soy helps stop the blood vessels as well. So it boosts the immune with the genistein. It stops the angiogenesis, and then it also, with the phytoestrogen that it has, it lowers estrogen. I think that's where the confusion is with doctors, is that because soy had phytoestrogen in it, they thought it would boost estrogen. It does not boost estrogen. It lowers estrogen, which I've talked about in a couple of the other books have discussed it. The best amount to have per day is 1 cup of soy milk. So that's also a cup of edamame yummy. Heat it up, pop them open, put some salt on them. So now he starts talking about the foods that work for angiogenesis. It's really no surprise. There's no surprises here. The foods that cause damage in your system are processed foods. Processed meat is number 1 on the list of do not eat if you do not want to have cancer. So if you are putting it in your kids' sandwiches, I really recommend you find a different lunch for them. I was doing it. I thought the chicken would be healthier. My kids love meat. I've been a vegetarian for many, many, many years. Tried to make them vegetarians. They were not having it. They like meat. But processed meat is now off the table after I've read all these books. They get a little bit of cheese on a tomato and lettuce sandwich because the processed meat is number 1 in foods that cause issues. Any processed food causes issues. And what I thought was interesting is the foods that, when they mention the foods in this book that cause cause DNA damage, lowers immune system, can cause cancer, can cause disease, he didn't say sugar, but he did say soda. And the reason for that is the way that soda is carbonated, as well as having loads of sugar in it, causes cancer. He believes that it causes cancer through the breaking down the 5 pillars. So sugar sweetened beverages, and with the carbonation is worse than just having sugar. So I thought that was really interesting, because I would assume that sugar, with all the things that we know as a society, we say sugar feeds cancer, that he would have put sugar on that list, but he didn't. He put soda. So there's lists and lists of foods that I'm not going to read to you right now. I'm going to put them in the notes, so you can print it out. I think I can put it in the file. That way you can print it out and look at it and put it on your fridge. I'm just going to name a few. Cooked tomatoes with the skin on gives you the most lycopene, and that fights disease. Cherry tomatoes have the most lycopene. I've never cooked cherry tomatoes in my life. When I'm Italian, when you make sauce, you don't use cherry tomatoes, but the research has shown that has the most lycopene. So what I've been doing is throwing them into everything, the cherry tomatoes. And he says not to refrigerate your tomatoes because that breaks down the lycopene. 1 to 2 cups of broccoli a week lowers your cancer risk. Kale is very angiogenic, so add that into stuff. Any stone fruits, an apple a day or 2 a day. If you are eating Granny Smith, Red Delicious, or a kind I've never heard of called Little Queen, Reinette, Reinette. I've never seen it at Publix, so I don't know if it's at your store, but those are the top 3 apples that have the most good stuff in them that fight off angiogenesis and fights cancer. So 1/5 a cup of berries a day lowers cancer risk. So if you can add berries to your breakfast, or have them as a snack, black raspberries have the most bioactive concentrate in them. Eating 1 cup of blueberries a week reduces breast cancer risk and recurrence. Blueberries activate multiple health defense systems. So get your blueberries. I get them frozen. There's organic blueberries in a bag frozen. They taste just as good frozen as they do fresh. Seafood is another thing he mentioned, and I am not a seafood eater. I live in Florida. There's lots of great seafood here, and I'll have it once in a while. But now I'm going to add it more because there's 3 types of omega-3s that help fight cancer, and they're all in seafood. So DHA, ALA, and EPA. No idea what those are, but they are all in seafood. They lower your cancer risk. They also lower your risk for macular degeneration. And mackerel, salmon, sardines. He says do not have tilapia, but I don't remember why he said that. Those all have, because tilapia has omega-6, that's why. So chicken, the dark meat, is best with the fat trimmed. That will give you vitamin K and has anti-angiogenic properties. So I was surprised with that. Oh, here's some good news for the cheese lovers. Parmesan. Where's my cheese? I want to talk about the food that like you think you can't eat, but it's good for you. So there's different kinds of cheese. Camembert, Parmesan, and one more kind which I can't find. I'll post it for sure. Oh, here we go. Gouda. Gouda contains vitamin K2, which has anti-angiogenic properties, and it's made, if you can find cheese made with raw milk, the bioactive good stuff in it is more. So cheese not only helps fight cancer and is anti-angiogenic, it also helps your microbiome, which is why I think those types of cheeses were the best, because they were the fermented cheeses. I'm not sure if Gouda is fermented, but the other 2 I mentioned were Camembert and Parmesan are fermented. Dark chocolate is anti-angiogenic. I get a brand called Lily's that has no sugar in it, and it's delicious. If you have that in your store, it also comes in chocolate chips, which you can add to your yummy baked goods. So dark chocolate is anti-angiogenic. It stimulates stem cells, and it is good for your gut microbiome. So that could be a good snack at night, right? Walnuts are good for your heart health as well as the microbiome, and walnuts also regenerate your DNA. So add your walnuts too. This sounds like a muffin recipe. Sorry, my phone. I have it on in case my kids cough. So, okay, red wine's interesting. All of the books have said that red wine is good for you, and he says it's good for each category. So red wine, 1 to 2 glasses of wine a day, which I thought was kind of usually. I think Dr. Funk said 1 glass of wine a day, or half to 1 glass, and he says 1 to 2 glasses of wine a day. The polyphenols feed the gut microbiome, which is surprising. So not only does it boost your immune system, fight off cancer, anti-angiogenic, it also helps your microbiome. Tea is a big one. Green tea is in every list. Kiwis are in every list. And carrots do not prevent the DNA damage, but they help repair. So I'm going to go ahead and post all the lists rather than read through them. This book was a hard read for me. It was not interesting. It was interesting, but not easy to read. So if you decide to read it, it's going to take you a while. It's probably more of a reference book to have on hand than something to read from cover to cover. And he does talk about balance and not to overdo anything just because, 1 cup of tea is good doesn't mean to drink tea all day. He really wants balance, and he wants us to eat all different foods that are on these lists and not stick to one group. The research is just beginning in all these areas, and it's really exciting. I really hope that our surgeries go away and all of a sudden we just go and get an injection and your knee's better, or you don't have to have back surgery. Or we have, medications that stop angiogenesis and kill cancer rather than chemo. So all of these areas are really exciting new places for researchers and pharmaceutical companies to find cures for things. But in the meantime, we can use our diet to boost all these areas. So I hope this information was not too scattered. It's a 400-page book, which normally I could finish in a week and a half, and it was just months of trying to read it. I think it was a month and a half of me trying to read it. And I'm going to post the list, and I'm going to, I can answer any questions that you guys think of while you're watching this. I want to give you the foods that are, in every group. Chocolates in every group. Squid ink is in every group, although I don't know how to eat that or if I want to. But so it should be interesting. I'll post it, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.